Hello everyone. So continuing with our design pattern series, in this video we will cover chain of responsibility design pattern. So let's get started. So in this video we'll start with what is chain of responsibility pattern, why we use it and how to achieve it, and then code implementation in C++, and finally its benefits and disadvantages. Before starting, I just want to mention one thing that I have already made a lot of videos on design patterns, and all of my videos follow the same structure where I start with what is the pattern, why we use it, how to achieve it, and the way and the reason I do this is to make everything consistent. So if you have watched one of my video, then you know what to expect in other videos as well. So yeah, let's get started now. So what is chain of responsibility design pattern? So first of all, it's a behavioral design pattern. So far we have covered structural and creational design pattern. Now we are starting with the behavioral design pattern. Behavioral design pattern deals with the different, like how the different objects behave with each other. So what is the coordination between different objects? In this, for the chain of responsibility, it allows an object to pass request along a chain of handlers. Now, right now you will not understand what is a chain of handlers, but basically each handler can either process the request or it can pass it to the next handler. So now we will first of all understand that why we need all of this handlers, and then how do we achieve it. Now let's start with why use chain of responsibility pattern. So every pattern has a use case. Every pattern simplifies or eases some sort of pain point. In this pattern, let's consider a scenario of a customer support service. Now you want to build a service where the customer can send a request, a support request, and based on the customer profile and the request, you want to assign it to either a basic support service or an intermediate or a critical support service. Now there could be a various parameters to decide whether which support service you should assign. For example, let's say you want to build it for a hardware company, right? Maybe based on the cost of the product, let's say if the product is less than $100, you want to assign the support always to the basic support service. But if the hardware cost is more than $100, now you want to see whether the customer lies in a basic tier service or a premium tier service. If the customer lies in a basic tier service, you will assign it to the basic support. If the customer lies to the premium tier service, you want to assign it to the either intermediate or critical. Now, if the user is an individual, then you will assign it to the intermediate support. But if the user is an enterprise, you may want to assign it to either intermediate or critical. Now, based on the country, for some countries, and if they are enterprise, you want to assign it to a critical support, or you will handle it via intermediate support service. So as you can see, there are a lot of conditions which will be used to decide which support service to use. Now this system or this pattern is not scalable in a way. For example, if you want to add a new type of support, maybe custom support, you want to add a custom support which is like your best support service. Now you have to change all of your existing conditions to direct some set of requests to this custom support service. So there could be like it might be a possibility that there could be some bug in your code which will not redirect some requests which are supposed to be redirected to the customer support service. So this is one of the example. Maybe you add one extra condition in this. Maybe you want to add whether the customer, like how frequently the customer is raising the request. Based on that, you want to decide to either pass that request to one of the support service. So all of these things in future, if you want to add the support, they do not scale well. So what is the alternate solution? The alternate solution could be that instead of instead of the logic of deciding the support service residing in a single object or single function, you can divide each support as its separate object, and each support will handle the request on their own. So now let's look at this. This looks like a very simple way if you consider this previous pattern. Now here what we do is customer always send the request to the basic support service. It's a separate service now, it's a separate object. Previously, customer was interacting with this big box which is making the decision to redirect the request to one of the support service. Now each support handles, or each supports makes the decision whether it should handle the request or not. So every time a customer send a request to the basic support, it checks whether the customer is eligible for the basic support or the request should be handled by intermediate or critical. So it either handles the request based on some logic or it passes it on to the intermediate support service. Similarly, intermediate support service, either it handles the request or pass it on to the critical support, and finally critical support service will handle that request. Now as you can see, all of these are linked together, so it's sort of a chain, and in programming sense it's a linked list. So basic support has a reference to the object of intermediate support, and intermediate support has a reference to the critical support object. So it is like a linked list, and they are making a decision whether to handle the request or pass it on. So that is why we use chain of responsibility. As you can see, they are chained together and each object is responsible for a certain type of request. Now this pattern is also very famously used when you create a logging framework, right? If you have seen, whenever you have coded, when you log some error, there are different levels of logging: info, debug, error, right? Different type of, so all of that is also use chain of responsibility. So every logging object is chained together. First is the info log object, then we have error log object, then we have debug log object, and based on the input you provide, whether it's of type info or any other, appropriate logger handles that request. So if you see that type of question, you always should use chain of responsibility pattern. Now let's see how to achieve it. So each, as we mentioned, each support service has its own object, so each has its own class. So we have basic support handler class, intermediate support, and critical support. Now all of them has an object naming next, and it stores the reference to the next handler. Now to store the reference of the next handler, we need a common interface, which is the support handler. So if we create a support handler interface, which also like whoever implement this interface also has to implement these two functions, which is set next and handle. So every handler will have a set next function which sets its next support handler, and handle function which handles the request. Okay, so client always interact with the support handler object. Client always calls the handle function, and appropriately it will be handled by one of the handlers. So that's it with the UML diagram. Now we will see code implementation in C++. All right, so now let's first start with the handler. So we have, like, let's say 3 priorities: basic, intermediate, and critical. So this is just a request class. It has a priority variable, whether the request is of priority basic, intermediate, or critical. Now this is our interface, support handler. It has 2 virtual functions. In C++ we have virtual functions, set next and handle request. Now basic support handler implements this support handler, and it overrides these 2 functions, set next and handle request, and it also has one private variable of type support handler. Similarly, intermediate and critical handler. Now if we look at their definition, you can see set next just set its next variable with whatever is provided, and handle request, if you notice now, basic support handler, if the request dot get priority, if the request is of priority basic, then it will handle the request. Otherwise, if its next pointer exists, it will call the handle request of that handler. So in the basic, it will call the handle request for the intermediate. Similarly, in the intermediate, if the request is of type intermediate, it handles it. Otherwise, it passes it on to the next handler. And similarly, critical, if it is critical, it passes, otherwise it passes it on to the next handler. Now if you notice here, at this point, basic, intermediate, and critical, they are not chained together. we don't know what is the next pointer for basic. It could be intermediate, it could be anything else. Now the onus of that comes to the when we set up the handlers. In the main function, if you notice, there is a function called setup support handler. Now this function is responsible for chaining all of these handlers together. Now in the support handler, it first create a basic handler, intermediate handler and critical handler. Then it chains basic dot set next intermediate, intermediate dot set next critical. So now it has chained basic, then intermediate, then critical, and it returns the basic handler. So the first object of, and it so now this handler is passed on to the client. Now whenever client is processing the request, client can call the handle request with any request of type basic, intermediate and critical. And now if we run this code, we can easily see that basic support handler processing request, intermediate support handler processing, critical support handler processing. So based on the request type, appropriate handler will process the request. So each handler has their own logic to decide whether they want to process or not process. Now one thing also you can notice here is you can change the order of the chain. You don't always need basic then intermediate. Let's say in the future, if you introduce a new handler between intermediate and critical, maybe let's say call it premium handler. So that can be easily changed between intermediate and critical. So you on the runtime only, you can change the chaining. You can modify the handlers and you can add and delete handlers. So this is also a very flexible way to create this service. So that's it with the code. Now let's come back to the final part, which is the benefits. So what are the benefits? As you can easily see, chain of responsibility enables the service to process different kinds of requests in different ways. If a request is of type basic, it will be handled by the basic support handler, and if it is of different type, it will be handled by different handler in different way. So each handler is independent to each other, and then it support seamless execution of various services in sequential order. If you notice, each handler is independent, but they are working together in a chain, right? And finally, which we have just discussed, you can modify the chain and you can also change the order of the handlers at runtime. So it provides a lot of flexibility there as well. So these are the benefits. Finally, there are some disadvantages as well. Now if you notice, some requests can get unhandled if the chain order is not correct or if the logic is not proper. For example, if the request is neither of type basic, intermediate or critical, no handler will handle it. So eventually the request will get unhandled. There will be some error. So you have to make sure that either you have a default handler which handle all kind of requests, or your logic is such that each request is handled or appropriate error is thrown. So that you have to make sure, but in some scenarios, request can get unhandled. Then there could be a performance delay due to multiple hops. Let's say the person, if you notice, the person who needs a critical support, that request takes the longest time because it has to reach to the last handler. So the requests which are served by the last handler could potentially have more latency. And if they are critical requests and if the latency requirement are very high, then you might have to change your logic or somehow increase your performance and make sure that latency doesn't impact your service. And one other disadvantage could be debugging is difficult if the chain is modified runtime, right? It is difficult to pinpoint which handler is causing any issue if there is any error in your entire service. And especially since you can modify the order of the chain, it becomes more difficult in debugging. So with all of its disadvantages, chain of responsibility still holds a merit when your events can be ordered in a chain, when you can handle them in a sequential order, and there is a clear segregation between each handler. So that's it with the chain of responsibility design pattern. I hope this video has cleared all your doubts regarding that. And if this video has helped you, please like this video. And if you have any doubt or if you think I missed some points, please let me know in the comments below. And I've already made a lot of system design pattern videos. You can watch them, and I'll be continuing to do so. So stay tuned. Thanks everyone. Bye.